Okay, back again in another live stream broadcast or podcast or whatever that is related to Animoji motivation, or it is basically just my personal daily video blog. I'm not sure. So basically, I used to like to writing diary when I was in the elementary school, perhaps, which is basically pretty young because maybe it was enforced by the teacher during that time to bought some sort of diary book, which we usually like to collect several paper in those book because the paper in the book is actually interchangeable, which is, I think it is called the binder book. I'm not sure whether it is the correct book or not. So basically, since the paper is interchangeable and for some reason we are usually like to collect unique paper related to unique paper which we will later put on those books. So the reason why the paper is unique is because every paper is actually have their own designs, even though obviously if you talk about the mounting, how the paper is actually mounted into the book is actually universal, obviously. So because we can even create our own unique paper if we are wanted, but yeah, it's definitely not gonna be as good as the one that was produced in the factory, perhaps. So yeah, during that time, but it's not a really long habit that I obviously try to continue until I was finally grown up. So, and it was actually refreshed again several years later, maybe in the junior high school, but it was actually part of the task in one of the subject as well. So during that time, I'm still not really motivated to write a daily kind of writing. So even though, yeah, if you talk about daily, it's definitely gonna be very big. But yeah, I just don't know whether it is actually gonna be read it or not. But yeah, it's just for historical purposes, perhaps, if anyone want to see or experience the memories that I try to record in some sort of writing or story. So just like this video blog, obviously, but yeah, it's not really long that I have basically tried to start this kind of behavior. But yeah, some of the things that was tried to explain in the video is obviously my old memories, bro. So yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know, retelling what basically used to be experienced during that time, but it's obviously different than what was originally written during that time, because it's basically have more details or the things that I basically already forgot on my mind. So yeah, that's the reason why. And yeah, after that, I basically not for several years never really tried to come back into writing until I was in the college, perhaps. So in the senior high school, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't do any kind of those productivity things. Besides, in senior high school, I think I'm trying to do several other personal productivity, such as the video content for various kind of channel that I try to make besides my own main channel, which already created since I was graduate from elementary school, perhaps. So yeah, it is pretty old channel, but yeah, sadly it's still not. It's almost 15 years years ago, so but it's still not really give the way that I expected, obviously, because yeah, there's no view, there's no big view or many views into the video, and there's also no many subscribers, obviously. But well, I just try to accept it and try to hope for the best in the future, obviously. So that's the reason why I'm still kind of like motivated to create this content every day, even though there is no people who basically try to watch my video. But oh well, I just try to fulfill my desires so that I basically can feel satisfied for already doing that, because yeah, I just don't want to feel regret in the future for not doing anything in the past, because the probabilities always exist, even though it was definitely a small probability. But yeah, no one knows that what will actually happen in the future, so with those kind of small probabilities. So, and what else? It's actually already 6 minutes, and I actually forgot to turn on my air conditioner. So for some reason, the bright lamp is actually make me a little bit exhausted, or yeah, it's like a sauna, perhaps. I'm not sure whether it is actually the correct word to define that or not. But yeah, so when I was trying to write a diary in the junior high school, is obviously already tried to use a modern blogger. So I was actually write on the blog that I basically, it's been a while that I basically not releasing anything on those blog, because yeah, I'm just trying to focus on other things, such as creating in the form of Animoji instead of just writing. So even though obviously if you talk about the difficulties, it is actually much more easier to write than to talk, because when I try to talk like this, I basically have no preparation and no prompt that I basically can use. So it was basically pretty random what kind of things that I try to explain. So instead of writing, because I usually try to prepare the titles for the writing, so there's actually more than 100 titles that I've been not released on those blogs, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe in the future when I finally come back into those blog again. So even though yeah, if you talk about bloggers, even though it was owned by Google's, it's already owned by Google's, but sadly it is not really popular, maybe because it's basically pretty old, and yeah, it's just not really user friendly, or in terms of user interface or user experience, perhaps, I'm not sure. So yeah, and then in the college I basically tried to continue those kind of habit, including the preparation of those many titles, and I also tried to write on a different platform such as Medium, because it was actually enforced by one of the subject in the college as well. So I am actually already trying to prepare many unreleased story in the Medium as well, but yeah, right now I'm just try to abandon it and try to focus on YouTube again, even though yeah, if you talk about YouTube, it's actually pretty hard to disrupt the market, because yeah, obviously it's just pretty big market, but at the same time there are so many people from different kind of background try to bypass or going into this kind of world. So yeah, that's the reason why. And after I was graduating from the college, college, I was actually attending some sort of, I don't know, like an internship perhaps, I'm not sure. So it was a quite long internship because previously I used to only try to do an intern for around 3 months, I think the maximum. But this time it's actually bigger because it was actually at the beginning of the pandemic that I tried to leave my job in order to focus on my master degree. So that's the reason why I try to do an intern instead of full-time job. So because yeah, it's just pretty exhausted to do a full-time job and a college at the same time, even though the college is actually dedicated for the people who got a full-time job. But yeah, I just didn't expect that the pandemic will come as well. So maybe if the pandemic, maybe if I already thought that the pandemic is will come, maybe I will try to keep my full-time job. Perhaps, I'm not sure, or maybe try to do the internship, full-time job, and college at the same time. But it's definitely gonna be pretty exhausted, even though everything was done in my home. But yeah, I don't know, because for some reason I'm just afraid not to graduate fast enough in the college, obviously, because it is not cheap to pay for the college, obviously. So it's around $2,000 in a single term, perhaps, I'm not sure. So yeah. And what else? And during those internship, I'm actually enforced to do my first daily reflections. So yeah, at the time that I basically try to do that, I am also try to do that personally on my notes in the phone or in any kind of Apple environment, obviously, that I try to write every day, which is basically random things that I basically try to prepare if I want to explain it, whether it was on the blog or even in the video blog like this. So yeah, that's the reason why I basically try to keep those good behavior as much as I can, even though yeah, sometimes it's definitely let me down. But yeah, it's okay because I will never really see those historical moments again, because definitely there will always be something new that I try to do in the future. So maybe if anyone really want or really curious about knowing what kind of things that I tried to do in the past, maybe it, they can obviously see my historical moment, because there is not many privacy things that I try to explain as well, because I always try to explain it in a very weird way. So yeah, such as the definition of good behavior or bad behavior that I don't know whether I used to mention how many times in the previous stream. So it is actually relate to other things that I try to cover up. So yeah, that's the reason, because maybe I just want to make this as general as possible. So that's the reason why I don't like to really explain specifically about things that I done, even though yeah, for some reason it is actually the one that makes a story unique as well, because maybe it was actually give some motivation to other peoples to do the same thing. But yeah, for the bad behavior, of course I don't want other people to do the same thing, even though, yeah, for some reason I just can leave those kind of behavior because, yeah, unless there is other things that I try to do, which is basically better, even though it is not. Is this, man? My mouth is a little bit weird, even though it is still not considered a good behavior. So, yeah, it's already 15 minutes and it's actually still not as long as my previous stream yesterday, which is, I think it's around 20 minutes, but it is actually interrupted, so I just immediately stopped the stream. So I think, I don't know whether I will try to do it longer than any kind of my previous stream, because I basically tried to start this stream early as well. So probably I will have more free time, even though it's basically not very big, because I basically haven't unboxed several packages that I already received, even though it was basically a cheap package, but one of them is need to be tested, which is the same hard drive that I tried to bought previously, which is pretty cheap. Hopefully this hard drive is also working perfectly. So yeah, I basically wanted to do that and also do the good behavior. I don't know whether it was gonna be a recording or it's just doing immediately without any kind of recording, because for some reason recording too many stuff is just wasting your storage if you just don't know when will it finally get processed or upload. Just like when I finally tried to convert the footage that I tried to record during my trip, because the one that basically pretty short is already uploaded right now, but the one that's a little bit longer, which is around, the longest is actually 37 minutes, it's almost as long, I think. It's actually already longer than one of the video that I've already prepared previously, not during the trip, but I haven't been processed further the Animoji gaming. But since, yeah, it is pretty annoying when trying to process a video longer than 30 minutes, perhaps, I'm not sure, because the iMovie caching process is pretty annoying. It's just making my storage full all the time. So yeah, maybe I will try to do the shorter first and try to do the several Animoji unboxing, which obviously is short video. So because the longer testing or unboxing video is actually goes into the portrait orientation, which sadly I just don't know when will I finally able to process it, even though I am already tried to prepare the application, which is the Wondershare Filmora X on the Mac as well, even though I'm not sure about the performance, whether it is actually better than iMovie or not, because yeah, obviously it is not an open source application and it was not a built-in application obviously, and yeah, it's basically have more features than the iMovie itself as well. So that's the reason why it's basically can process vertical or portrait aspect ratio of a video in order to publish on a platform that basically support those kind of video. So yeah, what else? It's already reaching the same exact time that I basically interrupted yesterday, but yeah, I just don't know what kind of things that I basically want to explain. things that I basically try to abandon as well, which is the one that I basically mentioned previously, because I was actually trying to do this kind of daily productivity, but the one that basically simpler, such as the one that I can immediately write in the notes, it's actually not really maintained, maybe because I already tried to write so many things, maybe more than 1,000 things that I basically try to prepare or talk about, but yeah, I just never really revisit it because it's just too many to for me to think about, or maybe I just don't know what kind of things that was perfectly discuss about that things, because I used to try to explain it with my college friends, and yeah, it's just not goes the way that I expected, because maybe the topic is just pretty weird or it's just pretty general, so that maybe not many people can really involve on discussing with those topics. So yeah, it's turned out it's not really good, and obviously it is pretty awkward as well to talk with in English. Maybe, I don't know, we are usually talking our own native language, and yeah, unless in the professional work perhaps, which is pretty convenient to talk about in English, or even when I was alone like this, obviously. So yeah, it's already longer than the previous stream, and am I still wanted to continue this kind of unnecessary talk or not? Because yeah, the one that basically I try to write on my notes every day is actually the experience or the memories that I remember during my dreams in the sleep, which is basically not really good. So that's the reason why I try to forget about it and not really wanted to record it on my notes, even though I just don't know whether I will revisit it or not in the future. But yeah, I just feel it's pretty unnecessary to write the dreams or memories during my sleep that I basically experienced previously, unless it was actually very interesting and I really liked those dreams, because yeah, for some reason, even though I was trying to remember what kind of dreams that I basically experienced previously, but I'm still not able to control my dreams. So everything is still happen unintentionally, unlike the Inception movie, who's basically can goes into other people's dreams, which is pretty crazy. And actually, I'm not sure whether it is actually possible or not, because yeah, for some reason, if you talk about people sleeping at some sort of similar times, they actually can meet perhaps in some sort of spiritual world, like some of the movies that I used to watch as well, which is have the same stars, the one that play Obi-Wan in Star Wars Episode 3, but I quite forgot what is actually the title. It's actually a little bit horror movie, but or thriller movie, but yeah, it's not really have some sort of many jump scare like other horror movies, obviously, because it's kind of like weird horror movies. And yeah, what else? It's already 24 minutes. It's almost 25 minutes. If I try try to continue. It's gonna be the longest streams that I used to had, and I don't know. But yeah, of course, this still not compares to the live stream that I basically do in the Twitch, because it's just pure gameplay that I try to done. Because yesterday I was actually streaming to Twitch for almost 2 hours, which is pretty long for seeing people game footage, and I basically try to highlight the whole video as well, because I don't every footage in the video, it seems to be have the same equal in terms of the importance. So yeah, it's not kind of like cutscene that I try to focus on. So yeah, I think I will try to end the stream right now, because I'm already tried to not know what kind of things that I want to talk